Okay, so we are going to take the political compass test.
Yes.
One rule, no personal attacks when debating. And we are not allowed to move on to the next question until we agree on the current.
Yep. So and for a backstory, I generally lean more conservative, and Amanda leans
moderate, I would say.
She went to college. I didn't. We're different people, but we will agree on everything.
We're both from a small town, and our grandpa owns a horse ranch.
Yeah.
I went to Portland State University, majored in international development, studied abroad, lived abroad. Used to be pretty liberal. Now I'm slightly moderate, I would say.
Yeah, I'm moderate leaning conservative because I don't like the government.
Mm-hmm. He's a libertarian, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 1.
Okay.
If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations.
Yeah, agree.
Okay. Yeah, me too. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Strongly disagree.
Yep.
No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. Disagree.
Yeah.
Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. I disagree.
Yeah, me too.
White people's skin is really thin and it wrinkles the fastest.
Well, that's debatable.
Not really. Like, if you look at black people, Asian people, or Latin people, their skin is thicker and it doesn't wrinkle as much and they age much better than we do.
Well, if you take a extremely dark piece of paper and you crumple it up and then straighten it out and then put it really far away, and then you take a white piece of paper and you crumple it up and put it far away, you're more likely to notice it on the...
I didn't say anything about the color. I just said the thickness of the skin. Our skin is thinner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, generally.
Oh.
So, and their skin has, I don't know if it, like ours has less elasticity in it or something, but in general, white people have like thinner skin, and so it's more prone to wrinkling.
That must be why there's so many protests in Portland. Thin-skinned. Bazinga. All right. Continue.
Okay, next question. I don't have any scientific proof of that. It's just from many observations.
Oh, are you cutting people up on the regular?
Yeah, I am.
Oh. You must have one of those really fine measuring
If I ask
gauges.
you if you want a piece of candy on the street, don't get in my van.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Strongly disagree. They're my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Just kidding.
Agree.
Okay. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Strongly agree. What do you think? Okay. There is now a worrying... but you don't like the government. And you think that military action that defies international law is sometimes justified?
Yeah.
They're both military and international laws, government.
Yeah. It's a negative. The negative is doing something against the other negative.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter. They cancel each other out. Yeah.
There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay. Strongly or just agree?
I don't care.
Okay. Next page. People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality.
Agree. There wouldn't be zip code statistics if that wasn't true.
Yeah, I agree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment.
Agree, yeah.
Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I agree.
Yeah.
Maybe strongly.
Yeah.
From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea.
Disagree. The only thing I agree with that Karl Marx said is that everybody should have guns, but every communist in America has forgotten that part for some reason.
Because it doesn't align with their beliefs.
Yeah. God forbid they be able to defend themselves.
The freer the market, the freer the people.
Agree. Because...
You don't think there's need for regulation?
Oh, there is.
Then wouldn't you disagree?
So it doesn't say... If it said a completely free market would mean completely free people, I would disagree.
But the freer part is saying that it would be completely free.
No, it just means like the more freedom involved. So a free market is essentially like me and you can trade back and forth no matter what
I
the
know,
product or
freedom.
good is, and the government can't do anything about it. And the more you're able to do that is better. But when you bring in extremely complex corporations that just basically create poison and give them to people, then it's bad.
So you're understanding the question as free or not meaning completely free, just slightly more free.
Well, I think the level of freedom isn't really a defined, but it just means freer.
Okay.
So agree, yeah.
It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. I'm still going to disagree on this one.
Agree. Remember because it's not asking about whether or not
It should be a bottled or
when there's a supply, when there's a demand, someone will supply a product. If
they should have used a different example. They should have used carrots.
Yeah, well, they're trying to point it. That's why they're trying to get people to think a little bit. And it's not just it's trying to get people to, the bleeding hearts of the world think that water shouldn't be a for-profit item. But realistically, if there was no profit in bottling water, which there isn't a huge amount of profit, I mean, there is, but there isn't, then...
Do you think that people just do it for the profit?
No, not just... Well, yeah, that's why the huge companies do it, is they want to make money. But there's way more profit in making Coca-Cola. Way more.
Okay, so we're going to say agree.
Yeah.
No, we're going to say disagree.
Okay.
Land shouldn't be a commodity... Oh, whoops. Whoa there. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. Disagree.
Yeah.
It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to society. Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. I think that if you're making a lot of money, you should contribute something to society. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade, i.e. tariffs, i.e. what Trump did to China.
Yep.
Your stance? What's your stance?
Well, yeah, I agree. Biden just put tariffs on a certain, I don't even know, state, province or whatever in China that's genociding people.
What do you put a tariff on?
Huh?
What do you put a tariff on?
I don't know if he put a tariff or a ban, but I think it was a pretty huge tariff. No, I think he did something where they didn't let any exports come out of this certain area of China.
Oh.
Like northern. They're basically genociding a group of people by making them infertile and locking them in cages.
Well, that's not a tariff, but
yeah,
that's just a blockage or whatever you want to call it. Okay, the only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
The rich are too highly taxed. We all are.
Yeah, I agree.
Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care.
I feel like we should elaborate on that first, that one we just went on.
What, the rich are too highly taxed?
Yeah, because you can make the argument that if I'm taxed 50%, rich people should be taxed 70%, right? Because they make way more money, they should pay more than we do, right? But on a realistic standpoint, I should be taxed 4%, and they should be taxed 10% less or 5% less.
So you should be taxed 4% and they should be taxed 2%?
No, I should be taxed 4% and they should be taxed 17% or 16%. But they're taxed a huge amount of money. A huge percentage. The percentage isn't it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so we should be taxed less and they should also be taxed less, but they should still be taxed more than us.
Yeah. If you're collecting taxes, you don't need 60,000 employees. You need 60,000 employees when you're stealing from people. And that's why the IRS has 63,000 employees, and the last bill they just tried to introduce was going to add 60,000 more. You know how ridiculous that is, doubling the size of the IRS, and then in turn you're saying I'm doing this to help out the small people. You know how ridiculous that sounds?
I don't know, when I try to call the IRS, I'm on hold for a long time. Remember
Dude,
when you had to go to the IRS?
I went to the IRS for 4 hours, and all they did was print out a piece of paper for me because nobody could get it online.
Well, wouldn't that prove that they needed more employees?
No, that's what happened.
All it does is prove that they don't care about being efficient.
They don't care about me. They don't care about people getting anything done unless you have a bunch of money.
They do not. All right, so that's why we agree.
Mm-hmm.
Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care.
Agree.
I don't know if they should have access to higher standards of medical care, but the fact is simple. If you have money, you can get what you want.
Yeah, and
money buys everything.
And sometimes a higher standard of medical care can just mean you get a better doctor, or it could mean that you're going to have in-home care at your house. So if you make $200,000 a year, you should be able to pay a nurse to come and help you with your recovery from your broken leg instead of having to sit in the hospital for 4 extra days. Like, if that's what you want to do with your money, do whatever you want to do. So that's why I agree.
All right, next question.
Okay.
Those with, I think Leah just got. Yeah, she did. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher. Oh wait, we just answered that question. Whoops. So we agree.
Mm-hmm.
Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Agree.
Mm-hmm.
A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. Agree.
Yep.
Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal.
Agree.
You think it should be illegal?
No, sorry. Do whatever.
We were about to have a fight.
All right.
All authority should be questioned. Strongly agree. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Disagree.
Yeah.
Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Disagree.
Yeah.
Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory.
Agree.
They shouldn't.
Disagree. I think everybody should have to go to school.
Okay, good.
I think it's stupid. You're going to learn something if you hate it or if you like it.
Okay. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Hey. Okay, I'm going to read this one again. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Disagree.
I guess it depends on what you describe spanking as and what you describe, because there's in some situations if you're not able to, there's some situations where it is required in certain countries, because of the level of danger that their kids are around, and it doesn't matter if you hurt the kid a little bit. If they know not to go outside and to get eaten by a lion, that's good. And if you just tell them no over and over again, they're probably not going to understand the seriousness of the situation because they don't know what a lion is.
Well, I mean, sure, but then they get eaten by the lion and now they know.
Yeah, they know for like 30 seconds.
Isn't getting eaten by a lion
I'm not saying,
getting spanked?
I'm not saying people in America need to, or people
Don't you believe in survival of the fittest?
But there is some situations, not everybody lives in the city in a safe space. So there is some
survival
situations
of the fittest?
where sacrifice has to be made in order to teach a lesson.
Okay, fine. We'll agree.
Okay. I'm not saying you need to do it here, but that you can't say it for everyone.
It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. I strongly agree.
Yeah. If you don't keep secrets from your parents, you're weird.
I don't keep secrets from my parents. Just kidding. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense.
Agree.
The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generations to find jobs. Disagree.
I think it should be part of it, but not the prime function.
The prime function. Yeah. So we agree.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce.
Disagree.
Why do you disagree?
Because it doesn't matter if you have one leg or two leg, or if you have fetal alcohol syndrome or whatever. The government doesn't have the ability to tell you what you can and can't do, because all of a sudden, if they make up some sort of mental illness, like, oh, all of a sudden, if you have bipolar disorder, you have a
Do you think that's a
genetic...
serious inheritable disability?
No, but who decides what an inheritable disability is? Because the government...
Well, inheritable is not that hard to decide because it's scientific, but a serious is...
Bipolar disorder is inheritable. And if they decide that...
Serious is the word that's...
Some people...
The different word. Like,
yeah.
Serious is the key word here. Inheritable, that can be scientifically proven, but serious is up to... is not objective.
In the past, there's certain genetic diseases that they didn't know anything about, and if you had them and they had this rule, you wouldn't be able to reproduce.
Yes, because they would be considered serious.
Yeah, so it's when definitions can change over a long period of time, in 100 years.
Well, yeah, you can.
Bipolar disorder might be considered a serious genetic.
You can also just take a look at the forced sterilization of Native American women in the history of the U.S. less than 50 years ago. It happened all the time, and also with other minorities, because there was a law that was passed. This is an example of that, a disability. There was a law that was passed that said that if there was a population with like undesirable qualities, that it was allowed to forcibly sterilize them, and it happened for a long time.
Yeah, Canada got in trouble for that too.
Disagree. Oh. Strongly disagree?
I don't care.
The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. Strongly disagree.
Yeah.
There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures.
I disagree.
What's an example of savage versus civilized peoples?
Civilized people communicate, and they have.
Savage communities don't communicate?
Well, I'm not done. Like they have complex forms of communications, and they have they value human life. For example, I would consider the Mayan civilization, where they would literally like kill people based off of the moon. Bad, and they would be considered savage. Yeah, humans were savages for like.
Would you consider 1890 Montana civilized? Where they hung people in the street for pickpocketing?
No, they're savages too.
Okay, under that definition, then I agree.
Yeah, no, I think we were savages until like 1980, 1970.
They were still forcibly sterilizing women in 1970.
But we were a civilized society.
Mom was born in 1970.
Yeah, no.
And they were still forcibly sterilizing
bad things happen
women.
all the time.
Here's the crazy part. Our ancestors are Native American, like our great-grandma's Native American, and she very easily could have been one of those people that was forcibly sterilized, so could have Grandma Sherry.
Maybe they tried and they failed, and that's why we're fucked up.
Maybe, but isn't that insane to think about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, at that time, like when Mom was born, they were still forcibly sterilizing Native American women.
They're probably doing it right now, in the form of
Well,
Coca-Cola.
The Supreme Court law that was passed before about allowing that sterilization for undesirable communities is no longer in effect. It's been overruled.
Mm.
Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not accept society support. True. Agree. Strongly agree. If you're able to work and refuse the opportunity, you shouldn't expect society support.
That's like the same as saying, should productive people be responsible for lazy people? And the answer is no.
So you strongly agree?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're able to work and you don't, and then you expect to get money from other people, that's not fair to the people that are working.
Yeah, no, fuck you.
If you have a disability or something, then it's different. But if you're able,
yeah.
When you are troubled, like I don't want to work, but I'm able, so I have to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still looking for that rich husband, but until then, I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. Disagree. I think you need to process why you're troubled and then focus on cheerful things.
Yeah, I disagree too.
First-generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I agree with that. Yeah, but I think that the word fully is not objective, that's subjective. And I think that if you try to define what fully integrated means, there will be different definitions. But in my opinion, and what I understand to be fully integrated to mean, I do not think that a first-generation immigrant can ever be fully integrated. Integrated.
I think the reason that America's so good is because immigrants come here and they have diverse cultures.
And even second-generation immigrants, like, they're called a third culture kid, and it's where they have one culture at home and another culture in their outside society where they go to school, and they're very different, and they feel out of place because their parents come from one culture and the environment that they're around is another. And there's like a whole study and branch of psychology and sociology studying these children who are second-generation immigrants, and I think there's a lot of proof there that first-generation immigrants are never fully integrated. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for us all. Disagree?
Yeah.
No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding.
The only reason I slightly disagree is PBS, but PBS
literally, I was about to say the exact same thing.
But PBS is kind of dog shit. So,
I was literally about to say the exact same thing about PBS.
I'm gonna say no because PBS in the past and present has provided people that have no platform whatsoever who have good ideas to go on and speak. And to come up with some good idea or something like that, or to show the effects of solar farming on birds, for example, like it's all kinds of stuff they just put.
Yeah, PBS is a really great program.
I'm gonna disagree. But if they're gonna give money to CNN to boil them out, I'll straight up show up to the freaking capital of Oregon. I swear to God.
Where, Salem?
Yeah.
You're not gonna get anything done in Salem.
That's true. I'll probably just get my shit stolen.
Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism.
Agree. Patriot Act. Patriot Act. What does that even mean?
It means that you can't wear a hijab at the airport without it getting checked.
It means a lot more than that.
It was a joke, Dylan.
Oh. Pfizer. Or not Pfizer. The,
Everything has to do with COVID. Did you just make a retard sign?
No, that's not a retard sign.
What is that?
This? Wakanda? I don't know. I was half
People
a Wakanda
literally
sign.
do this to make fun of people who are mentally ill, Dylan.
I am not people. I don't do that.
He did not mean that.
Yeah.
He did not mean that hand gesture.
I've said retarded like twice already. People can hate me. It's fine. I'm not politically correct. Burn my house down. What was I gonna? Oh yeah. Why can't I remember what the name is? A FISA warrant. Pfizer and FISA sound so similar, but FISA warrants are terrible.
Explain for our audience.
It's basically like this huge stamp. Like, okay, so if the cop was the judge who can, if he had all of a sudden, if a cop had the power to go and get a warrant and he could sign off on the warrant and say that it is just because of what he thinks, and he's also the person requesting the warrant, we should probably ask questions, right? There's no due process.
Question authority, we ask those questions.
There's no due process in that. So that's essentially what the government is. If the CIA is like, we want a warrant to tap into this person and get information on them. Now, for example, you're not supposed to be able to do it, but they do it all the time. But if they want to get information from our phones, access our cameras, access our metadata, or anything like that, they just have access to it. They can do whatever they want, and they're the judge, and they're the police officer, and they sign.
If you
their
had that
warrants.
much power, you wouldn't want to access everybody's stuff.
No, I would, but I don't think I should have that power.
Good answer.
Yeah, I like them apples.
See, I would want the power, and I think I should have it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm gonna be hated on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. Strongly disagree.
Illinois is just like, yeah, we're doing great. Shit, that's a gun. Oh, fuck. I thought this was a gun-free zone.
Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried.
Incorrect. Who decides what the wrongdoers are? The government. What happens if a law-abiding citizen all of a sudden becomes a wrongdoer? Not good.
The you should tell Mom about that because she has the Alexa in her house still.
I don't think I could understand. Like, I couldn't explain to her the complexity of this. She wouldn't care. She doesn't care.
Our mom's a preschool teacher.
She's smart though.
She is.
Yeah. Oh,
She made us.
There's nothing bad about being a preschool teacher. They're important.
No, but she cares about like making bulletin boards with frogs on them.
Yeah.
And educating the youth.
Mm-hmm. She's also not allowed to tell her students no, because that is bad parenting.
Is she not?
Nope.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
She's not allowed to tell the kids no.
Nope. Not allowed to tell the kids no. It's a policy.
You're joking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. You're not allowed to tell the kids no. You have to explain to them. A person who is having biggest struggle in life is coming to the fact that they
By the
exist.
way, our mom teaches children from the ages of like 8 months to 3 years old.
Yeah.
I bet she tells them no anyways.
Probably.
But she rarely tells us no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes.
Yes. Why should the dude that like went to the sorority in Southern Florida after killing multiple people go to jail and not be put to death when he's like killed like 15 people and like not in a nice way but like cut their head off with a fucking hacksaw and left them
But
in the woods?
that doesn't align with your previous beliefs about the government being able to decide who's a wrongdoer.
Well,
like you just said that the government shouldn't have access to your electronic data because, you know, then only wrongdoers should be worried. But who decides who's a wrongdoer? And the death penalty is the same thing. Like the government and I guess a jury is deciding who the wrongdoers are. And so if you feel like they shouldn't be the ones who can decide who a wrongdoer is, how can you agree with the death penalty?
Well, there's always some cases that are, you know, very rarely, less than probably 1%, that are published.
According to who? The government? The statistics that they post?
No, I just made that up based off of probability of odds. I don't know. I mean, I think that the government should. I think
See what
there
I'm
should be.
saying,
I
though?
think there should be a death penalty.
Do you see what I'm saying, though, about the difference
Yeah.
in your opinions? How they conflict?
Yeah, no, it makes me think. There's a lot of slippery slope.
I agree with the death penalty, and I also disagree with the death penalty. I don't think that we should have the death penalty as it is today. I don't think that it should be
Yeah, no, it needs to be changed.
as ridiculous as it is. If you are gonna die, they shouldn't make it like 15 years into the future. They should just fucking kill you.
After two appeals. If you
Like, you should definitely have, like,
Yeah.
yes, 2, 3, 4 appeals. It doesn't matter. But you shouldn't have to, like, government money should not have to pay for 15 or 20 years for a person to live their entire life knowing that they're going to die just to die.
Let's not get it confused. It's not the government's money. It's our money. I shouldn't have to pay. Like, if you're a terrible person and you do terrible things and all you want to do is terrible things because your head's fucked up,
Yeah.
well, play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
It's just too expensive.
Yeah.
Like, just hang them from a noose. It's cheaper. The rope's cheaper than the chair.
Yeah. Well, I don't really care how I mean, I do care.
It's our
But-
our money that's paying for that chair, and it's friggin' expensive.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason that there should be a death penalty isn't like it's right to kill prisoners. It's like if you do something that's a serious act against humans or your society, you will get serious repercussions. If there's no repercussions for your